Merrill? Gino? Jordan? Where the hell is everybody? Oh, hey, Zach. Zach's here. Welcome in to another edition of the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast right here on PHNX. Our trade deadline recap here after the trade deadline fallout. Now that the dust has settled, we know who is a Diamondback, who isn't a Diamondback, and what they got in return. My name is Derek Monty, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX and aggregator of all trades today. I did not get much sleep, so excuse me if I seem a little bit off. I got my guy Damon Dog on the ones and twos today to back me up, and it's great to have so many of you guys here to discuss what the Diamondbacks did today. That is right, as unbelievable as it is, Merrill Kelly is no longer an Arizona Diamondback, and neither is Jordan Montgomery. But, of course, you guys already have seen the news, and if you haven't, big news here at the trade deadline right around the 11th hour today for the MLB trade deadline. The Diamondbacks made a flurry of moves, and those moves did not include Zac Gallen. But, of course, this show is brought to you by our friends at Bet365 and Game Time. Make sure to download the Bet365 app right now and use our code of PHNX365 when you sign up. You'll get yourself some bonus bets for following some easy steps. Over at Game Time, use our code of PHNX to get $20 off your first purchase. And great to have you guys here, but it is a sad day. It is the end, at least for now, of Merrill Kelly's tenure with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And cannot say enough. We did a quick trending podcast on this topic, but again, I cannot say enough about what Merrill Kelly did in his time here as a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks. If you wanted to put a pitching Mount Rushmore together for this team, there's a good chance that you could make a case perhaps for Merrill to be on it. His tenure, the record while he was here, his ERA, all of that stuff, very, very good for Merrill in his time as an Arizona Diamondback. So it sucks to see him leave. And Damon is here to overreact to the fact that we did, in fact, trade him, of all teams, to the Texas Rangers. Now, I do once again appreciate the fact that we have made we've just aided the arms race in the AL West, right? We just threw a bunch of our best players towards the AL West, and we're letting them fight it out for a wild card spot. Houston Astros made some amazing moves today themselves to get better, and there is a lot of teams that are still fighting very hard, making some aggressive moves today to get better in their own division. Meanwhile, maybe more surprising is the teams that wave the white flag and are out of it. We'll get to all of that later. But Damon, first, how sick is it going to make you to see Merrill Kelly in a Texas Rangers uniform?
The most sick that anyone has ever been in their entire life. I said it on the AZ Wildcats podcast when I was hosting, and the news broke live on air, Derek.
You break a lot of Diamondbacks news on the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Last time it was a little bit more fun. Last time it was Corbin Burns signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks, I believe. This time it was, our sweet Merrill being ripped from our grasp. But the fact that the Rangers took a World Series from us, and then they also took our best pitcher from us, when is enough enough?
When is enough enough?
We can only give so much.
Yeah, I don't know when enough is enough. But Damon, I'll tell you this much: the Diamondbacks did get a haul in return, and I know that there is a lot of people out there that, like, there is never going to be a time that you trade away an MLB player that's having a great season and think that the return is going to be good when that return is prospects. You're just not capable of that. We're going to talk about the Eugenio Suarez trade here in a little bit, just to rehash that fresh wound and talk about what I believed the grade was for the Diamondbacks return. And I gave it a C+. That's what many of you saw on the PHNX sports account. I think that's fair. But as far as the Merrill Kelly return, this is a little different. I feel like, again, the expectations may be too high for corner infielders like a first baseman like Josh Naylor, or even a third baseman having the great year that Eugenio Suarez is having. But I implore all Diamondbacks fans to remember that these guys that are getting traded away are rentals for these teams, and they are going to get these guys for 2 months until they have to potentially turn around and try to re-sign them or lose them themselves and lose the prospects that they gave to the Diamondbacks. It's going to be a hard sell at times for people to look at the return for guys like Gino, guys like Josh Naylor, and feel like it is a solid return, and that's fine, because in this case, I don't think Mike Hazen and the Diamondbacks are looking to fleece other teams. They're merely trying to get the most that they could for these players here at the trade deadline. Mike Hazen did play his hand fairly strong with Gino. And of course, we saw a lot of the suitors fall out. I think another thing that impacted this trade deadline is the fact that so many teams that were still in their respective races in a wild card race kind of waved the white flag and did the same thing the Diamondbacks did, becoming absolute sellers at the trade deadline. None that have really impacted their team as much as the Minnesota Twins, where you have players from that team literally saying now that nobody wants to play there after what they did at the trade deadline. But some other interesting moves involve teams that were much closer in their races than the Diamondbacks were. So overall, it sucks that the Diamondbacks went 1-8 over this stretch. It sucks that they became sellers here at the trade deadline. But now that the dust is settled, the pieces that have been moved are pieces that, again, did get the Diamondbacks a decent return. And I don't think any return was as good as what the Diamondbacks received for Merrill Kelly. So, and that's how it should be with Merrill Kelly. He is an absolute game changer for the Texas Rangers. Their starting rotation looks really solid going forward, and he could really impact that AL West race. Right now, the Rangers and the Mariners are both tied for the final wild card spot in the American League. So we just gave them we gave them a sword and an axe and said, fight amongst yourselves. But Merrill Kelly is definitely the axe in that one, because he's been incredible for the Diamondbacks. And I mean, hey, maybe the cramping goes away and Merrill Kelly might become the greatest pitcher in baseball. In his time with the Diamondbacks, Merrill Kelly had a 3.74 ERA in 7 years with this team. In 2022, he led the entire league with 33 starts and 200, not the most innings pitched, but the most starts at 33. He had 200 in the third innings pitched, and Merrill has just always been Merrill. He's always hovered around a 3.3 ERA. He always goes out there and gives the Diamondbacks solid start one after another, consistent starts. And again, he's going to be missed. I do think that if there was a single player that I believe the Diamondbacks could trade away and bring back at the end of the season as a free agent on a new deal, it's Merrill Kelly. His history with the Valley has been, he just has a connection to this city. And I think that hopefully can be enough to bring him back. It's not going to be cheap after some of the deals that we saw, the Lugo deal, again, one of those deals that does a similar player does increase Merrill's value. But the package the Diamondbacks received here, Damon Dog, I know you haven't had a chance to really analyze it much because you were doing the Wildcats show, but the Diamondbacks received the Rangers' number 5th overall prospect in Cole Drake, a left-handed pitcher. They received their number 9 overall prospect in left-handed pitcher Mitch Bratt, and their number 13th overall prospect in David Hageman. And again, I can't help but think that this return, especially considering all 3 of these guys are starters, is a really good return for Merrill Kelly. And I know that the Diamondbacks kind of went a little bit here overall with quantity over quality, but I do think that the Diamondbacks have a need. And when it comes to minor league talent, it's hard to assess minor league talent. Like, it's hard to rank these guys. It's hard to look at a top 100 list, top 20 list, and really determine whether one guy belongs above another guy. It's all opinion mixed with, stats and some a little bit of data that you really don't know is really a reflection of that player and what they're going to be going forward. It's just more of a reflection of what they've been up to this point. But man, I'll tell you, looking at this return, you got to kind of love what the Diamondbacks did here, Damon Dog. What do you think overall? I know it's been a bit disappointing up to this point.
I mean, I know that, Gambo said before the trade deadline that Merrill Kelly was going to bring in the biggest return, and that proved to be true, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
This is by far the biggest return that the Diamondbacks received, and, I think it's going to be too early to make a declaration as to, what this package, if the Diamondbacks end up getting the better end of this deal. But you give yourself a lot of shots at the board, right? Like,
Exactly.
there's three guys here. They're all fairly highly touted prospects. 2 of them in the top 10 of the Rangers farm system. Hopefully, at least one of them figures to be a staple of this starting rotation once they make it up to the majors.
Hageman there, the number 13 overall prospect, 22-year-old right-handed pitcher, 3.52 ERA in 5 starts for single A, touching 100 miles an hour. You don't hate that.
I love it. In fact, I love it.
Cole Drake, 25-year-old left-hander, pretty close to being major league ready. He just moved up to AAA in 12 starts for AA Frisco, which we know very well. We went and visited Frisco at this time last year and swam in their lazy river. Might have even
you did. You had a great time.
I did. I had a great time. I didn't take you with me, but and we also still have to deal with letting you know that you've been traded and what that package is. But Drake here,
there was like a weird situation earlier where Espo was like, "I got to talk to you about something later," but I wasn't quite sure what he was talking about. Is that?
We'll talk about it later. I mean, I just think after the show you can go have a conversation with Espo. This is awkward, and don't make it personal. Like, it's really not like that.
I traded you for cash consideration.
Oh no.
So it was a salary dump situation.
It was a salary dump situation.
I thought maybe I was gonna go to CHGO or PHLY and have
I got traded
push.
to PHLY for the Rocky statue, which I feel is a really good return. I feel is an incredible return for what PHLY is getting. I mean, again, I know I'm a living, breathing human being, but that's the Rocky statue. People don't detour to a neighborhood to come take pictures with me. Maybe sometimes if they see me at a baseball game, they'll ask me for one, but yeah. Meanwhile here, like I said, Cole Drake, 25-year-old left-handed pitcher, 2.44 ERA in 12 starts for AA Frisco, currently pitching for AAA teams, so could be ready as soon as next year. Diamondbacks don't seem to be shying away from giving young rookies that they're getting in these deals a shot, because that is the case apparently with the first baseman Tyler Locklear that the Diamondbacks received in exchange for Eugenio Suarez. The other piece of this deal is Bratt. This is Mitch Bratt. Love that name. 22-year-old left-handed pitcher, 3.18 ERA in 17 starts, once again for AA Frisco. So these are 3 starting pitchers and just some solid young guys that so far the reports back seem to be favoring the Diamondbacks in this trade, especially when you consider, I believe someone said it in the chat, not a bad return for simply 2 months of a rental here to send Merrill Kelly over to the Texas Rangers. And if Merrill goes over there and wins himself a World Series, I think we'd all be pretty happy with that. I think we're all rooting for all of these guys, and it makes it a little easier that the Diamondbacks have traded so many pieces away to the American League to keep rooting for these guys. But one trade that happened when we thought the Diamondbacks were all said and done was the trade of Shelby Miller. And that was something that came across about 10 minutes after the trade deadline had come to an end. We learned that Miller was going to be traded to the Brewers along with another injured player. The assumption was Jalen Beeks, considering that Jalen Beeks is on an expiring contract and qualifies as an injured player. We did not know. We did not expect. We did not think to see that the actual person included in the deal would be Jordan Montgomery. And the Brewers will pick up $2 million of Montgomery's salary for the remainder of 2025. And that honestly is a decent amount of money that the Diamondbacks could use here in the offseason to try to help once again replenish their losses, whether it's starting pitching or relief pitching. But I imagine the Diamondbacks are going to continue to focus on their pitching, considering how limited their depth is and how much less depth they will have going forward next year. But yes, part of this is that nothing is coming back in return for this deal. We gave away Shelby Miller for nothing so that they would take Jordan Montgomery, is basically what is happening here in this deal. So not terrible, not a surprise. Shelby Miller was kind of one of those guys. However, it does now mean that the Diamondbacks are down another closer. Shelby Miller was set to return tomorrow. So again, the Diamondbacks have put themselves in an awkward position pitching-wise, once again, with the losses of Merrill Kelly and now Shelby Miller as part of these trades. Most surprising part of the trade deadline might be the fact that Zac Gallen is still an Arizona Diamondback. And I don't know if that's as shocking as it should be, considering the season Zac Gallen has had. However, I did feel like Gallen's value was still there for many teams. I think many teams still saw that Gallen had, maybe that change of scenery thing, maybe just a change of a team to kind of change his view and change kind of his motivations here. Could definitely make Gallen a big part of a starting rotation. Not an ace, not a 1 or 2 guy anymore, but definitely a solid 3 starter for another team with the way he's pitched this year. Gallen continues to still have some incredible starts in very high leverage situations against very good baseball teams this season as a member of the D-backs. More importantly, I think this allows the Snakes to still have a starting rotation for the rest of this season. Now, when you take a look at what's going to happen in the offseason with Gallen being a Scott Boras client, there's a good chance that the Diamondbacks will offer him a qualifying offer that he will reject, and the Diamondbacks will still get that compensation draft pick in between rounds 1 and rounds 2, which again, they don't lose Gallen for nothing. And I think they have a good idea that that's what they're going to get in return. So if the offers that you're getting for Gallen isn't the equivalent of essentially a first round draft pick, it's kind of easy to say no. And I'm sure teams with the way Gallen was performing this season have probably tried their best to absolutely lowball the Diamondbacks here when it came to Zac Gallen. And I don't know, Damon, I think that that's probably a pretty fair assessment as to why he wasn't traded. I don't think the Diamondbacks were desperate enough to take nothing for someone like Zac Gallen. And I'm glad they didn't, because I think that this team very much still needs another starting pitcher as part of the rotation just to finish up the season.
Could Zac Gallen find his way back on this team next season? Because he's been so bad.
I think so. I think he could accept the qualifying offer, even though historically Scott Boras clients don't do that.
Yeah.
This is one of those rare occasions where this is so unexpected. And, Gallen's decline, as many people will point out in the chat, goes back to 2023. It's not something that's just sudden. It's like gradual, and it kind of came to a head this season, and he pitched probably the worst that we've seen out of him in 2025.
Yeah.
It's terrible for a guy who was in a walk year, that he was going to get his big contract, and this was supposed to be the offseason where, we've looked at it for a while now, dating back to 2023. We've been like, well, we got 2 more years of Gallen before some other big, franchise comes in here and
what's funny about that
sweeps him away.
Is I thought Zac Gallen was going to have like a crazy season in Diamondbacks fashion of like, he's going to go off, price himself out of, being a Diamondback in the future. Sure. Another team with way more money is going to pick him up. And instead, it was the other end of the spectrum of, it was always going to be a disaster somehow for the D-backs, but my silly brain thought it kind of in a positive way. No. He's not going to re-sign, and he's going to be putrid all season long. That's the most D-backs thing ever.
It was like if Gino would have hit 40 home runs before the trade deadline and still gotten traded, right? I'm dyeing my beard the same color as my shirt right here for nothing.
You're wearing your Mariners shirt, I see.
I would look great in a teal beard with this outfit, Damon. You got to admit that. Like, if there was any outfit that could really sell the teal beard, it's the one I'm currently wearing. But yeah, I did go a little Mariners heavy because, again, if there was an AL team that you wanted to root for right now, there's no way I'm going to convince you to root for the Texas Rangers if you're a Diamondbacks fan. So why not root for the Mariners? Why not? Gino's over there. Josh Naylor's over there. It'll make Shane happy. And again, it mostly is a bunch of swell guys over there that are just over the moon to have Gino back. And we're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. So don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, I have admitted that I am a huge NASCAR fan. I am a newbie to NASCAR, but the reason why I am a NASCAR fan is because we took a fun trip out to Phoenix Raceway to see some NASCAR races, and I was hooked instantly. And then I got myself a driver to root for, and next thing you know, I'm buying merch, and I'm just all in every single Sunday watching races. We watch qualifying. That's how all in we are. And if you want to be that all in, make sure to come check out Championship Weekend at Phoenix Raceway this October. It's a fun way to spend Halloween, and again, it's a great time to come out and see the championship race in NASCAR. They have playoffs, they get to a championship race, and it has been here in Phoenix for a number of years, but unfortunately after this season, it's going on the road. So make sure you get a chance to see it before it does that. Of course, nothing is better than getting out to see some NASCAR with the smell of the fuel in the air, those burned tires. There's a lot of smells, but there's also some cool access. You get for a small ticket upgrade, you can get down to the Desert Diamond infield experience, and you can get up close in the garages, meeting drivers, taking pictures with them, taking pictures with the cars, and so much more, including the pre-race concert. So do not miss this amazing event. This is your chance to witness NASCAR Championship Weekend in person, coming to Phoenix Raceway October 31st through November 2nd. Tickets for Sunday's Cup Series Championship sell out every year. That race sells out every year, so do not miss it. There's lots of races that weekend, but you want the championship race. Move fast to get yours now before they're gone. And here's the kicker once again. NASCAR's taking Championship Weekend on the road starting in 2026, so this is your last chance to see it here in Phoenix for a while. Tickets, hospitality, and upgrades are still available. Get yours at phoenixraceway.com. And if you are looking to make some gear for your brand that stands apart from the crowd, look no further than Branded Bills. Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. They also have t-shirts, they have bags, they have all sorts of other options, even beyond headwear. You can start your order and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They have partnerships with 40 different universities, including ASU and U of A as part of their campus collection. They also partner with our Phoenix Suns. And I don't know if you've seen it, but they make some pretty cool Diamondbacks hats on certain special nights as well. So do not miss out on the wonderful wares that Branded Bills has to offer. They are a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona, and they can get you started not only with some cool stuff for you if you're a hat aficionado, but for your brand if you are looking to, once again, make some gear that help your brand stand apart from the crowd. Head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX for 15% off your order. That's BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. Well, I know that there's going to be a lot of fans sad that Merrill Kelly is gone. I know there's going to be a lot of fans sad that Shelby Miller is gone. I know there's going to be some fans that are elated that Jordan Montgomery is gone, but I don't think that there's a single player that is going to be missed as much as Eugenio Suarez. I've seen some crazy, like Gino is giving people memory loss because I've seen some responses to the Diamondbacks posts that say stuff like, I can't believe after what Gino did for us in the 2023 World Series, we're going to let him go like this. I've seen people say, how are we going to have someone like this come up through our system and then just trade him off? That didn't happen either. There's a lot of things that people are misremembering about Gino. He's such a sweet, sweet boy that you love so much that you're just making up this history that doesn't exist. It does feel like Gino has been a part of this team for a very long time, but he's also been a part of other teams. And one thing that is fairly heartwarming during this trade deadline was to see how many fan bases wanted Gino back. You had the Tigers that wanted Gino back. You had the Reds that their fans wouldn't stop talking about what a big mistake it was to salary dump Gino. And then you had Mariners fans who wanted him back, I think, more than anybody else. And that's who Gino ends up getting traded to. It's a place that Suarez wanted to go, like I said, on our emergency podcast. So overall, I feel like you can at least feel pretty good about the fact that the Diamondbacks were able to deliver on a trade that made Gino happy. And then meanwhile, the return here is a pretty good return, despite me getting in a fight with my friend Brian at 6:00 in the morning about it. The first big part of the return here for Gino is first baseman Tyler Locklear. He is the Mariners' number 9 overall prospect. He is a first baseman, and he's been having himself a pretty damn good year this season at AAA Tacoma. In 98 games, he hit .316 with a .943 OPS, 25 doubles, a triple, 19 home runs, 82 RBI, and 47 walks. He made his major league debut last season in 2024 against the Royals as a starting first baseman. He went 1 for 4 in that game. And again, he's a young guy that maybe the Mariners felt was ready, but maybe not ready enough, so they sent him back down. And he did find his bat for sure when he went back down to AAA Tacoma. He's played 4 seasons in the Mariners system, and he was selected by the Mariners in the second round of the 2022 draft out of Virginia Commonwealth University. The word here from Gambo is that Tyler Locklear is not only going to be on the major league roster, but he will be starting at first base for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's my understanding this series coming up against the Athletics. In fact, again, another chance for a young minor leaguer to maybe help some of the major leaguers understand that weird Athletics minor league ballpark that they have to play in this weekend. But a big part of this situation was a tweet that went out that discussed what happened for Suarez, by the way, last night. Gino got to Oakland with the Diamondbacks, and the Seattle Mariners were leaving Oakland to go on to their next city. The team plane waited for Gino. There was an eruption of applause when he arrived. Apparently, he got on the plane and walked the aisle and just hugged every single member of the team. And again, sometimes in life, you just want to see people you love be happy, right, Damon? Like you hate how much it hurts that they're not with you anymore. But seeing that Gino is this beloved by a franchise that held up their team plane, erupted in applause when he arrived and made sure everybody hugged him, really does feel like it was the right move as far as places to send Gino.
Derek, do you want to nerd out with me here for a second?
I was going to say, I thought you were going to shame me here for being too positive about this
No,
trade.
I was going to say, and spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, but if you haven't and you're interested, go watch it now. But Andor, great show, great television show.
Oh my God, you're going to talk Andor right now?
Oh, I am. I'm nerding out. That's what I said.
Let's go. What do we got?
Do you remember at the end of the season, and like I said, spoiler alert, turn it off now.
Spoiler alert, yeah, get out of here if you haven't watched
when Bix is, she leaves Yavin.
Yeah.
And she says, because, it was made clear to her that the rebellion needed Cassian Andor in order to thrive and flourish.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
It's as if, we're the Diamondbacks are Bix in this situation.
Yeah, we know.
We left because we know that baseball needed Gino on a relevant team. And so that is the price we have to play. That's
Sure.
the martyrs that we have to be in this situation.
It's beautiful. It's well said. It sucks, but you're right. That's definitely a good way to feel. Other parts of this trade, by the way, the Diamondbacks do receive 3 top 20 prospects from the Mariners system. They receive the Mariners' number 17th overall prospect, Juan Burgos, who is a right-handed pitcher out of the Dominican Republic. He is 25 years old. He is currently, in 2024, he was at High A Everett, and he, in 38 relief appearances, had a 3.38 ERA with an opponent batting average of 210. And he has played 6 seasons in the Mariners system, signed as an international free agent back on April 15th, 2019. Last but not least is Hunter Cranton. He is the number 16th overall prospect by MLB Pipeline in the Mariners system. Again, he is currently at High A Everett, and in 10 relief appearances, he went 2-0 with 3 saves and a 1.13 ERA. So again, some good things seeing out of these guys. Of course, Eugenio Suarez. You're never going to feel good about trading away a guy that's currently in the hunt for the home run crown, right? In fact, we discussed this once again on the breaking podcast, emergency podcast we did, but this is the first time in MLB history that a player has been traded away with 35 or more home runs mid-season. And not the kind of history you want to be on this side of. However, I think the trade deadline should at least bring a lot of understanding to Diamondbacks fans, because as much as we did not want to see this, as much as we didn't want to fire sale, as much as we don't want to be sitting here talking about Gino and Randall Grichuk and Merrill Kelly and Josh Naylor no longer being a part of this team, it is something that we suddenly saw a lot of teams take that turn today. And a lot of teams that we didn't expect to drastically turn that right turn into being sellers was crazy today. And it really did kind of, I don't want to say that it flooded the market with talent, but it did desperately change things. And I think one of the reasons why we maybe saw the Diamondbacks pull the trigger on Gino yesterday instead of today was because of the change that was happening. The Diamondbacks, I'm sure, probably wanted to play it a little bit tough and get as much as they possibly could for Gino, but it was probably getting to a point that a lot of the suitors were falling out of the conversation because they were able to get their players from another team for less than what the Diamondbacks were asking for Gino. And again, at the end of the day, historically, teams don't really get a lot for corner infielders, no matter how many home runs they're hitting, no matter how good they are, right? It also is one of those things to bring up the conversation that, like, usually the reason why you don't see a player with 35 or more home runs moved is because if you have one of those, typically you're finding success. You're winning. You don't really need to trade them away at the trade deadline, because if you have an offense that has a player like that in it, you're not necessarily needing to, change direction that drastically. But the Diamondbacks, unfortunately, were not. And it just goes to show how important pitching is to be successful in Major League Baseball. The Diamondbacks had one of the best offenses in baseball, and it still wasn't enough to make them a contender. And with all the losses and poor pitching performances that they were getting out of the guys that weren't injured, it just spelled disaster for this season. But I was shocked to see some of the trades that were made, including the Giants trading away Mike Yastrzemski, seeing the Twins absolutely gut their team. And again, many of these teams that suddenly decided to start trading away players, St. Louis Cardinals, they were in a better place than the Diamondbacks were. And these trades have absolutely shifted the power of balance in Major League Baseball. The San Diego Padres somehow keep on Dylan Cease, but they get very, very good with the addition of Mason Miller over there. They also don't have a farm system anymore. Crazy. They're just going to, I guess, forfeit all of their remaining minor league games because they don't have any players left to take the field. But AJ Preller doesn't seem to give a damn about that. And again, for a bunch of ringless bums over there in San Diego, you got to respect what they're trying to do, right? You love prospects, but of course, when it comes down to this, especially when you see that like the Padres now can pretty much put their foot on the pedal here, go all gas, no brakes, because it doesn't appear that they're going to have much contention for a wild card spot. Like it feels like everybody that was behind them, with the exception of maybe the Marlins, have all decided to start trading away their players and are just falling back. So I don't really know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what the Tampa Bay Rays are doing. I definitely don't understand what they're doing. Trading away players and trading for players. Are you getting better? Are you getting worse? What are you doing? I don't know. It's a confusing day out there for Major League Baseball, but I do think that we see now that the teams that are playoff teams have kind of announced themselves as playoff teams, and the ones who don't think they're going to be contenders have definitely waved the white flag today. But a lot of unhappy fan bases out there, a lot of teams that are exuberant. Carlos Correa going back to the Houston Astros, a lot of crazy things happening today, Damon. And again, it's another crazy trade deadline where the majority of those moves all happened right at the 11th hour for the trade deadline.
Yeah, man. I just can't help but keep going back to the Will Smith gif, Fresh Prince walking in the house, hands in the pockets,
all by yourself,
just looking around.
What happened to everybody? Where is everybody? Yeah, it feels like that. And also, why did the A's need to trade away Mason Miller? That I could do an entire show about that. With the years of control he has left,
I will say Padres
we have to deal with that now on the Padres. Like, I hate that. That's probably the thing I hate most about the trade deadline.
It sucks, but also Padres fans are really upset about the package that they gave up for
because
Mason
they gave
Miller.
away everything. They gave away the number 3 overall prospect in all of Major League Baseball, not just in their system. They gave away their number 1 prospect. Like, I feel like people were expecting the Diamondbacks to do that. I think people were expecting to trade Geno away and get a Harry Ford from the Mariners or, another team's number 1 top prospect. And it just didn't, it wasn't going to happen. I think maybe that's the problem, is that I feel like it was fairly unrealistic to expect the Diamondbacks to get as much back in return for guys that aren't on controllable deals as people wanted.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. Like, that would have been great, right? To get the Mason Miller package for one of our players. I would love that.
Like that, I would be dancing on this table right now and telling people that this is the greatest day in D-backs history, right? Because but it's Mason Miller though. Again, when you look at the Diamondbacks, they need that exact thing so much. Just dominant closer that can come in that you have under team control for a number of years, like. Inject it directly into my veins.
No,
it makes me sick that the Padres get
for Mason Miller. We would kill for Mason Miller.
Yeah, and now we have to worry about him pitching against us all the time because he's going to be in a division rival for years. I'm just furious about
Welcome to the NL West, man.
Oh, it's like Tori said. I really do wish the best players would stop coming to this division. But again, weird moves also being made by the Dodgers. I don't know what the Dodgers are doing. I don't know what the Boston Red Sox are doing. I don't know what a lot of these teams are doing. Some of these moves made at the last minute didn't exactly shake up MLB, but they did. They were weird, and I don't know what some teams are doing. I will say that when it comes to the Diamondbacks, I at least appreciate that they have a clear, defined path as to what they are doing at this trade deadline, what the rest of the season is going to look like. We did get a chance to talk to Mike Hazen, and we will have more from that conversation with Mike Hazen on a special trending podcast later, probably tomorrow. But between now and then, I just want to say that this is not a pleasant process for this team, and they aren't happy that they were in this position, but it was clear to them that they needed to make these moves, and that's because the Diamondbacks stopped floundering in mediocrity and were just straight up bad over the last 9 or 10 games. And the fact that they were allowed this front office to make a definitive decision. What's going on, I think, with some of these other teams, I mean, when you look at the wild card standings right now, the wild card standings do not suggest that some of these teams should be out of the hunt, right? You take a look here and you got, they've lost, 6 in a row now, but the San Francisco Giants, they're 6 games back. They've waved the white flag. St. Louis Cardinals, they're 5.5 back. they waved the white flag. In the American League, you have the Cleveland Guardians trading away Shane Bieber. They're only 2.5 back. They're still right in the thick of things. You have Tampa Bay Rays, again, don't know what they're doing. Royals added. They're 3 games back. Twins, 6.5 or 5.5 back. They're done. Their season's done. Their franchise is done. They might burn Target Field to the ground up there in Minnesota with what they did, considering the moves they made. But overall, again, pretty good trade deadline for the Diamondbacks. When you look at who is here, who's gone, we have Gino gone. We have Shelby Miller gone. We do have Jordan Montgomery gone. And we also have the one and only Merrill Kelly. That still really bothers me. Also traded Randall Grichuk and Josh Naylor. I think we have the return for Josh Naylor again that we can just kind of go over here, looking at the other trades the Diamondbacks made. Diamondbacks for this one received Brandon Garcia, who already has pitched for the Diamondbacks in a few games. Diamondbacks also get Ashton Izzy, the number 16th overall prospect in the Mariners system. I mean, the Mariners gave us like half of their prospect system, it feels like, in these 2 trades.
But none of their top 100
But none of their top 100 guys. They have a guy named Durangelo that's a switch pitcher.
I've been calling for
I
Durangelo.
wanted him so bad. Oh, my God. I wanted him so bad.
Derek, I mentioned Durangelo to you like the day you came back from your vacation because I was having to do shows about the Futures game and whatnot. And I'm sitting there watching Futures game highlights, and I'm watching him switch his glove, ambidextrous glove. And my immediate thought was, this guy needs to be on my team.
I need him. We didn't get him.
No, we didn't.
Close. He was ranked at 8th in their system, 1 position higher than Tyler Locklear, in case you were wondering. And he is their final player in the top 100 prospects list for Major League Baseball. But again, the Diamondbacks don't pay too much attention. Like, it's a good thing they got high numbers. It's a good thing that they got, especially what they received from Merrill Kelly. Don't let these numbers bum you out about these trades because we have no idea what these guys are going to be. And that, I mean, that's good and bad, right? The guys that are ranked high, we don't know if they're going to end up being quality Major League Baseball players. We don't know if they'll make it to the bigs and how they'll do there, right? There's no sport that is as quirky and terrible when it comes to knowing the value of a player and what they're actually going to be at a major league level than baseball, right? So it's very hard to know if any of these guys are going to work out for the team. And it could take years to determine if the trade works out one way or another, right? I think in today's culture, we want to always discuss who won a trade. And that's what we want to do. We want to look at a trade. We want to see Josh Naylor was traded for those 2 guys, and we want to be able to establish that the Diamondbacks won or got fleeced, one or the other. And that's how we do this. But with what the Diamondbacks are receiving back, it's very hard to assess the value that they get back and assess if they won or lost a trade. I will say, though, again, I feel like they did a good job in every single one of these trades, in my opinion. If you want to grade it on a through F scale, would be a B or higher, except for the Gino trade. And that's only because I still don't know what these players that we got back are going to look like and what they're going to be for this team. I give it a C because trading someone like Gino is never going to be popular. It's never going to be easy. You're never going to get an A out of me. You would have had to get a major league caliber starting pitcher out of another team in order for you to get an A out of me for a Gino trade. And that's just not going to happen because any team that's trying to get Gino from you is not going to be willing to give up that much, considering what they're trying to accomplish with their 2025 season. So overall, though, again, this is Katie May says they are freaking lotto tickets in regards to minor league prospects. And you're absolutely right. But those freaking lotto tickets sometimes pay off, and sometimes you win a fortune. And I will say that the Diamondbacks at least gave them chance with plenty of lotto tickets to find at least 1 or 2 here that, that can pay off and maybe score them big. But Zac Gallen still being a part of this team is not something I hate, and that's not something anyone should hate. Gallen has given this team a lot, and I think that, again, if Gallen is still here for one more season after this year because he accepts a qualifying offer from the Diamondbacks, I don't think that's the worst thing either. But at the end of the day, the Diamondbacks did save some money here on Jordan Montgomery, and according to Mike Hazen, as you will hear tomorrow, there's definitely more that this team wants to do. And as much as it feels like they've kind of just given up on 2025 and moved on to 2026, it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think once they get past the trade deadline and try to get, their heads back in the game, we could still see this Diamondbacks team do something insane. Who says no, Derek? I don't know what that's in regards to. Is it because I'm talking positively, or is it regards to something else? I don't know. But
I'm talk right now is that the Diamondbacks just posted on their Twitter account a thank you message for Jordan Montgomery, and this chat is losing their mind about it.
Well, yeah, I guess. Thanks for nothing. That's the best I could come up with. But I will do this. On the other side, I'm going to take a break before I say something that's going to get myself in trouble. We'll take a quick break. And on the other side of this break, we still have to talk about baseball. And that's what I was getting to, is the Diamondbacks still have a series starting with the Athletics at their pitiful minor league ballpark. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, Pure Edibles will help you get through a day like this. I know you might be stressed out. I know you might be sad. I know you might be worried. So look to our friends at Pure Edibles. They have saved some wonderful products. They are a full-fledged candy company with a wide variety of strains and doses as part of their candies that can help you get exactly where you need to go. They offer gummies, obviously, but they also offer kicks, which are their version of Starburst, chews, which are soft candies like caramels, and hard candies as well. And their effects are clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly what effects to expect. Pure offers gummies for sleep support as well as candies with uplifting effects. And those effects are derived from unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD with marijuana-derived THC. And all of these things can help you not only get a great night's sleep, but also put you in a great mood. Playing video games with Pure Edibles is highly recommended. But they were created right here in Flagstaff, Arizona at Noble Herb Dispensary, the home of Pure Edibles, and is now made in Phoenix. So get them wherever you get your products at dispensaries around the valley. Their gummies are designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable or easy to dial in your exact dose. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. And what goes hand in hand with a trip over to get yourself some Pure Edibles is a trip over to Circle K. Get yourself some munchies, get yourself something to drink, and of course, fill up your gas. Get yourself some cheap gas. If you're a member of the Inner Circle program, you will save 3 cents on every gallon. You'll save 25 cents off your first 5 fill-ups, and then you'll save 3 cents every day after that. It's easy to get enrolled. All you got to do is download the app and then use your phone number to score Circle K deals, and you can get deals all day long, including their full meal deal matrix from breakfast all the way to dinner. They have you covered in the morning with a $4 meal deal for the Circle K breakfast sandwich, a hash brown, and any flavor 16-ounce Bang, C4, or Ghost, or a medium coffee, or a Polar Pop up to 44 ounces. They also have you covered for lunch with a $5 meal deal with 2 slices of pizza and any 20-ounce soda or Polar Pop. And they also have a $3 meal deal with a hot dog or Tornado, along with select Frito-Lay's chips and a Polar Pop. So join the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And like I said, the Diamondbacks very much still have a baseball game to play, Damon. I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to care, especially playing against not the Oakland Athletics, not the Las Vegas Athletics, not the Sacramento Athletics, just the Athletics. So let's take a look at the Athletics at a glance this season, because despite the fact that they did trade away Mason Miller, who now at least we don't have to deal with that. There's a positive. If you want to spin it in a positive way, we don't have to deal with Mason Miller this weekend. They are 48-63 this season with a minus 117 run differential.
I kind of thought they were good until I put this graphic together, Derek.
Well, because they play good baseball at times, and they have good players. They have a young, exciting team, and that's the reason why the Miller trade literally makes no sense.
Not to mention Jacob Wilson to come home.
Yeah.
GCU legend.
I'll take that GCU legend. Absolutely. The Athletics are 6-4 in their last 10, so they are playing better baseball right now, of course, because that's when the Diamondbacks catch teams. Their OPS is 743, which is good for 7th in baseball. So, yeah, that's it. They're pretty good offensively, but then their pitching stinks. They have a 4.86 starting pitching ERA, which is good for 28th in Major League Baseball. They have a 5.29 bullpen ERA, which is good for 29th. And then outs above average is minus 17, which is the 25th team in baseball. So not very good defensively, not very good pitching, but good offensive team. And we've had a chance to see them in person this spring when we went out to Las Vegas and watched these two teams battle there. But again, just a weird move today made by the Athletics. And yeah, Piece of Yoshi says it here in the chat. Their ballpark is a nightmare for pitchers. So might be a nightmare for the Diamondbacks. I don't know. Maybe it's a good chance with the way that this offense has been sputtering lately. Maybe it's a good chance for the D-backs to get back on track and start having some confidence and believing in themselves. I made the comparison before, and I'm glad that the trade deadline has come and gone. I think that this weighed very heavy on this team, and I think that this has weighed heavy on this team for a while. I think that there was pressure applied that if they didn't play well, that this exact result could happen, and that pressure has felt like it's been there since April, to be honest. I feel like we've been talking about these guys potentially being traded since April, and here we are, at the trade deadline with everybody except Zach moving on, and Zach and Jalen Beeks pretty much the only guys on expiring contracts that did not get traded here at the trade deadline. But you got to be honest about your team sometimes. You got to be real, and this is something that needed to happen. It's not popular. It's not going to be popular. There's not going to be people happy about this. There's not going to be people that really praise these moves considering what the returns were and how hard it is to know if those returns have value, considering that value doesn't come until the future for the major league club. But I think overall the Diamondbacks did a good job here of trying to get what they could and not necessarily being desperate as far as the returns go or the trades that they made. But nothing is more confusing now for either of these ball clubs than the probable pitchers going forward for this series, because who's pitching? Zach? Eduardo Rodriguez? That's it. That's all we know. Everybody else is a TBD. No probable pitcher. I was going to make Damon do a whole graphic of just TBD, but I did refuse to do that to him because we don't know what the hell is going to happen. We don't know what the Athletics are going to throw out there. They still haven't confirmed a single starting pitcher. And now with Merrill Kelly not pitching in game 1 of this series tomorrow night, which he was scheduled to, we have no idea who's going to start where, if Gallen gets moved up, if Erod gets moved up, if they just slot either Bryce Jarvis or Descalfani in to pitch tomorrow's game. Again, very, very interesting. And Ina Jackson, I've not seen Ina in this chat in entirely too long. Great to see Ina. She says Descalfani, which again, not surprised. And Anthony Descalfani also has given the Diamondbacks some pretty good length this year out of the bullpen. He's also given them a spot start. So again, not surprised that would be the fill-in here. But yeah, overall, just a crappy situation for the Diamondbacks, and not a great time to be a fan of this team. Not a great time to be a fan of a few teams with the moves that were made today. But yes, Tony Disco, again, going for this team. I might not be a huge fan of Anthony Descalfani overall, but I will say that I'm a huge fan of Tony Disco as a nickname. That's got to be one of the cooler nicknames that we've had in the clubhouse at any point this season. Damon's over there doing a little disco dance. That's very amusing. But I don't know what else to say about this trade deadline, because overall, now that I have a chance to assess what the Diamondbacks did compared to other teams, I feel like it was as expected from the D-backs, and in fact, a little surprising. Damon, I'll throw it to you. What's more surprising to you? The fact that Zac Gallen is still a member of the Diamondbacks, or the fact that Jordan Montgomery is not?
Definitely the Jordan Montgomery aspect,
Right?
Because you could have told me, like, hey, teams are not going to value Zac Gallen the same way that maybe the D-backs were going to ask for a price for him because of the qualifying offer aspect that you mentioned at the top of the show, Derek. Like, you got to get back essentially at least one guy who you figure to be kind of a first-round caliber player, or else why make the trade? Because you can get that guy later on, right? But Jordan Montgomery, like, I had friends text me being like, I forgot Jordan Montgomery was on this team.
Yeah.
And I will say, like,
understandably so.
Shout out the Diamondbacks for getting that salary off their books. That's actually pretty impressive stuff, I'd argue. The fact that you're able to just give up a relief pitcher who you're probably not going to have next season on your team.
Well,
and you get to save a little bit of cash in the process and hopefully reinvest that in the team next season.
I mean, you're right. And I think that, like, the only thing I want to know about this whole conversation is I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want video of Mike Hazen talking to the Brewers GM about this deal.
Yeah.
Because I
got a guy for you.
I want to hear Mike Hazen say in return to him, where when he says, "What's the return?" and he's like, "No return." He's like, "Okay, what's the catch?" You have to take Jordan Montgomery. Mike, come on now. Like, that's just ridiculous. Nope. If you want Shelby Miller, you got to take Jordan Montgomery. And I need to see that. I'm speculating how that conversation goes, but I'm pretty sure that that's exactly how it went down. And I need it. I need it in my life. Again, Damon, I've watched Moneyball twice, entirely too close to the trade deadline. So I want to see all of these conversations go down. I would love a recap documentary about baseball in general.
What do you think they told Jordan?
Pack your bags, fella. You're going to Milwaukee.
Hey, I know you complained about the how hot it was here inside of Chase Field. Welcome to Wisconsin. Hope rehab goes well.
Hey, man, Chicago's not very far away. It's just down the shoreline. You can go get some Pequod's pizza. And that's the second time that I've thrown that out there.
The crust.
Free ad. Just the crust is so good. Well, Damon, we got to take one more break, but not really. I just really wanted to tell everybody about our current deal for diehards. If you are not a diehard already, now is the time to become a diehard. And now is for $36. Can you beat that? Can you really beat a diehard deal for just $36? Get down on our current deal right now for NFL training camp, but it's really for everything. So
I
just
believe
become
this
part
deal expires tomorrow.
It expires tomorrow.
I think.
For just $36, you get, for the cost of a t-shirt, you get the membership to be part of our family.
And you get a t-shirt.
And you get a t-shirt.
For a cost of a t-shirt, you become a diehard and you get a t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a pretty
good
good deal.
So go over to gophnx.com if you're not already a diehard and get down on the best deal that you can and quickly, because it's moving as fast as the trade deadline did. And before you know it, you're going to be stuck without a diehard membership and you're going to have to take on Jordan Montgomery's salary. So I would strongly recommend checking that deal out for sure. But Damon, it is Throwback Thursday. I know we did not do Throwback Thursday colors because obviously trade deadline takes precedent over Throwback Thursday. And nope, I don't think anybody wants to be mushy or, be I don't know, talk about stuff that's happened with this team. But I figured since it's the trade deadline, since we're here on this very particular day, ooh, there we go. We got you purple. There you go. That's for you guys. We could talk about the most notable trades that the Diamondbacks have made in their history. And I don't think there's any more notable trade than when the Diamondbacks received one Luis Gonzalez from the Detroit Tigers back in 1998 in a trade for Kareem Garcia. Just player for player. Kareem Garcia for Luis Gonzalez. Gonzalez, I don't know if you know this, but he would go on to become a franchise icon, a hero, a legend, a scholar, a mentor for me personally. I don't know what else to say about this.
My best friend
in the whole wide world. The guy that let me cut in front of him at Dutch Bros one time. Played 8 seasons with the Arizona Diamondbacks and kind of helped at least win them a World Series. He didn't do it on his own. It did take 9 other guys to do that. But the Diamondbacks also did on the trade deadline back in 2017. They added, once again, from the Detroit Tigers, my man crush, the one, the only JD Martinez. And as you remember, JD Martinez became an absolute beast for the Arizona Diamondbacks when he joined this team back in 2017. He made a significant impact in his time here, including a 4 home run game that was made into a t-shirt that I still wear sometimes at night when I go to sleep. But I don't think any deal is probably, I don't know. You could probably argue that both of these deals are equally important. However, a position player tends to not be as important as a legendary starting pitcher. And no matter what you think of him as a person who has very bad opinions and even worse politics at times, Curt Schilling was probably the biggest trade the Diamondbacks have ever made, because you could say what you could want to say about Luis Gonzalez. He really flourished here with the Diamondbacks in his time here. Meanwhile, Curt Schilling was kind of a pitching legend at the time already, and the Diamondbacks traded a haul away from him. Basically, it was justified to me by my friend Rafael as 4 Travis Lees, but it wasn't 4 Travis Lees. It was 1 Travis Lee and an Omar Dahl and a Nelson Figueroa and a Vicente Padilla. I know you guys are all saying who. Well, if you're a Phillies fan, you probably know all of those guys. The Diamondbacks sent those guys to the Philadelphia Phillies for Curt Schilling, and obviously Schilling and Johnson made one of the most incredible 1-2 punches in baseball history and led the Diamondbacks to their 2001 World Series run. So, again, some pretty big trades there. Historically, though, the Diamondbacks don't really have a bunch of crazy trades. Like when you look at the trades they've made, these by far stand out as the most significant trades that the Diamondbacks have made. Other ones have been fun. Other ones kind of brought some, I guess, fan favorites to the Valley. But as far as what these players notably did for this team when they were a part of it, those guys set the bar very, very high, especially Schilling and Gonzalez, that both of those guys came together to help this team win the 2001 World Series. But we are very far away from that right now. The Diamondbacks probably couldn't be more far away from worrying about playoff contention and winning championships at this point. Mike Hazen did his best at the trade deadline to basically restock the Diamondbacks minor league system. This is something that Mike Hazen was tasked with his first season as a GM, and they had themselves an incredible draft that I believe included 7 draft picks that they got that year. But I've said this before, I'll say it again. Mike Hazen, when he became GM of this franchise, was handed a broken vase and was asked to glue it back together. I always like to play up the fun role play thing where it was a house party and it's at Mike's house and his parents are coming home and someone broke the vase and everybody's leaving. And I know I just pronounced vase and I pronounced it vase earlier, and that's just to keep you guys on your toes. But Mike Hazen was handed a broken franchise when he became the GM of this team. What Dave Stewart and Tony La Russa did when they were in charge of this team sank this franchise. And between bad moves and things done with personal interests and motivations in mind, this team was in a very bad spot when Mike Hazen became part of it. So one thing that Hazen has been very good at as a GM is replenishing the farm system and finding quality talent in young players. And a lot of those young players got called up when this team was bad, and then they became our favorite players. And that includes Corbin Carroll and Alec Thomas and Brandon Pfaadt, and you could probably even throw Ryan Nelson into the mix of that. So there's a lot of young guys here. Geraldo Perdomo, another guy, absolutely young guy that was probably not on a lot of people's radars to be a permanent fixture and a member of the core of this team, but has become. And all of that is just due to Mike Hazen's ability to assess talent, especially young talent, and replenish this team's farm system when the stock runs low like it has. So again, there is just not, I don't know how soon these moves are going to pay off, or if at the end of the day we'll be able to look back on any of these trades and say that the Diamondbacks won them. You just have to feel good about the quality of talent that the Diamondbacks were able to receive for guys that are on expiring contracts, and quite frankly, guys that had a very low percentage chance of being a Diamondback after this season. So you got to tip your cap what Hazen did, and they had to do everything they could to bring in as much as possible. The market really, especially today, got flooded with a lot of teams suddenly being sellers that didn't seem like they were going to be that drastically in the sellers market. So that changed things for the Diamondbacks, and that might have impacted Zac Gallen and teams' interest in him. So that could be why he's still on this team. But for now, glad he is, and I'm glad that the Diamondbacks were able to make the moves that they were able to make. Just take a very long time to truly assess these trades and see what they get back. But you have to like a lot of the young talent that they were able to get here. So we will be back tomorrow with another show. And like I said, we'll also have a little trending podcast available to you about Mike Hazen's press conference and the comments he made in regards to these trades. So we will bring you that tomorrow. We will also have a post-game show after tomorrow's Friday night matchup against the Athletics. They're at Sutton Health Park, I believe, is where they play. I don't know. I don't care. I don't feel like I should even have to remember the name of that ballpark, nor do I think any major league team should have to play there. But again, that I'll air all of those feelings tomorrow night after we have to watch a game played there. Until then, follow us on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman with a K. We thank you guys so much, of course, for your time. Damon is at Damon Dog with a DAWG. Doggy, do you have any last thoughts that you want to get in here? What is your overall feelings about what the Diamondbacks did here?
Just sad, man. Just truly sad about the way that this season has unfolded.
Yes. And that's totally understandable.
I think that it just, like we all saw this coming. I think that there's a little bit of breath of fresh air getting new players in and feeling like, hey, we have these shiny new toys we can talk about. But at the end of the day, this team had such high expectations. Yeah. I truly believed in this team, like in my heart of hearts. I'm biased, obviously, but I really, really did feel like this team was like the most talented, well put together D-backs team of my lifetime. And I guess since the 2001 World Series. But that being said, this was just a depressing end to that. And hopefully the team can show some fight as the season wears on. But man, this was a brutal first half of the season.
It was an absolute failure. And, again, we've talked about all of the reasons why. I got a new guy in here, Rick, calling me a shill. You're not even the first person to call me a shill, sir, nor will you be the last. But for the most part, I do get this comment a lot because we do try to stay positive, and it's been a hard season to remain positive during. And now it sucks that we're at this point where it's over with 2 months left to play. And those guys still have to go out there and play a baseball game every single night pretty much over the next 2 months. So at least we can do is go out and root them on and still try to hope to see these young guys get these opportunities that they wouldn't get otherwise, and hope that they can turn into major league ball players. But
it's nuts how similar the D-backs and Suns seasons were.
It really was.
It's nuts.
It really was. The big difference, though, I guess, would be catastrophic injuries for the Diamondbacks. But overall, it does feel like it was very high expectations that ended in.
What do you mean? Bradley Beal just got hurt bending over to pick up the piece
We're
of the
not going
penny
to
he
compare
dropped on the
Bradley
ground.
Beal to Corbin Burns. We're just not going to do that.
We'll
But
compare him
anyway.
to Jordan Montgomery, maybe.
That's better. That's better. But hey, we appreciate you guys. Make sure to follow our show at PHNX_D-backs. Of course, all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys again for your time. Like I said, we'll have a trending pod for you as well as a post-game show tomorrow. So hopefully see you guys around for that. Until then, have a wonderful evening. Behave yourselves. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you're not a seller at the trade deadline.
We all silly.